Hey everybody, I'm CrazyCatDarth42 and welcome to Trivia Time. Today on Trivia Time, I'm going to be discussing various trivia about the Pokemon who debuted in Generation 1, and the Kanto region, and the Generation 1 Pokemon games themselves. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Bulbasaur's evolutions are the only starter Pokemon evolution family to have each member appear in at least one Super Smash Bros. Game. Bulbasaur is a trophy in Melee and Brawl, Ivysaur is a playable character in Brawl, Venusaur is a stage hatchet in the original and a Pokeball Pokemon in Melee, and Mega Venusaur appears as a trophy in the 3DS and Wii U versions of Smash 4. Ivysaur is the only middle stage grass poison type Pokemon that does not require an evolutionary stone to reach its final stage. Ivysaur is the only middle stage form of a Generation 1 starter Pokemon that does not evolve at level 36, evolving at level 32 instead. Venusaur is the exact same size as another grass type Pokemon, Tropius. They both reach a height of 2 meters and both weigh 100 kilograms. Charmander is the only fire type starter Pokemon who is not a member of the Field Egg group. Charizard holds the distinction of being the first Pokemon to appear in the Japanese version of the Pokemon anime, being the first Pokemon to appear in the opening. However, outside Japan, this honor belongs to Mewtwo. Coincidentally, Charizard and Mewtwo are the only two Pokemon to have more than one Mega Evolution. Also, Charizard was the inspiration of the naming of the Chili-Cola Charizard, a species of stem nesting bee. Caterpie was both the first Pokemon to be captured and the first Pokemon to evolve in the Pokemon anime. Until the release of Pokemon Platinum, Caterpie and its evolution Metapod were unable to do any damage to Ghost-type Pokemon outside of struggling. The same thing applies to Weedle and its evolution Kakuna, only for them it was the Steel-type that couldn't do any damage to. Weedle is the only Pokemon who cannot learn any normal-type moves. The arms of Kakuna's Pokemon Red and Blue sprite is often mistaken to be a graphical error, due to the fact these arms are rarely seen in any other media. So far, the only other time Kakuna has shown off its arms is on a Pocket Monsters Bandai card. Raticate is the only Pokemon who shares its national dex number with the level it evolves from its pre-evolution, 20. Arbok is the tallest poison-type Pokemon at a height of 3.5 meters. Pikachu is the only core series starter Pokemon with a pre-evolved form. However, it should be noted that Pichu did not exist at the time of Pokemon Yellow's release. Even though Nidoran females fail to breed, Nidorina and Nidoqueen are unable to breed. This makes Nidoran female the only Pokemon to lose its ability to breed once it evolves. Zubat and Golbat are the only Pokemon to appear in the lineup of every villainous team in the main series games. The Zubat family are the only Pokemon of the Poison Flying type. Zubat, Golbat, Psyduck, Golduck, Magnemite, and Magnetar are the only Pokemon to appear in the regional Pokedex of every main series Pokemon region. Gloom is the only dual-type Pokemon who can evolve into a single-type Pokemon. In Generation 1, Poison-type was super effective against Bug-type. This makes Paris and Parasect the only Pokemon to ever have had 3 ×4 weaknesses. At one point in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Red and Blue Rescue Team, Diglett mentions having feet. The question of whether Diglett has feet or not has often been brought up by the Pokemon community and has spawned many theories over the years. Even though Arcanine is not a legendary Pokemon, it's seen in an engraving alongside Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos in the second episode of the Pokemon anime. Poliwag is the favorite Pokemon of Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon. Kadabra has not been printed as a trading card since the English Skyridge expansion in 2003. This may be the result of Nintendo and Pokemon Card Laboratories' desire to avoid further litigation from Uri Geller regarding his claim that Kadabra is a parody of him. Due to this limitation, Kadabra is also the only Stage 1 Pokemon that can be skipped by its basic evolution, introduced with a particular Abra card able to evolve itself directly into Alakazam. Possibly the same reason, Kadabra has not made any anime appearances since Fear Factor Phony aired in the United States in 2006, except a small cameo in the World of Pokemon opening of Kyurem vs. the Sword of Justice. Kadabra also did not appear in Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, whereas Abra and Alakazam did. In the Generation 1 Pokemon games, Golem is the only Pokemon that cannot be seen without trading. However, this does not apply to the Japanese version of Pokemon Blue, since in that game there is an in-game trade for a Graveler. Although the species has been seen repeatedly, no Slowpoke has ever been seen using an attack in the anime. It is stated in Slowbro's Pokedex entries that remove the Shellder will cause it to revert back to its Slowpoke form. This is the only mention of a Pokemon de-evolving in any Pokemon game. Magneton has been used by more rival characters than any other Pokemon, being used by 3, Blue, Silver, and Wally. Farfetch'd is the only Pokemon with an apostrophe in its name. Muk and Mew are tied behind the shortest English name out of all Pokemon with 3 letters each. The Ghastly family are the only Pokemon of the Poison Ghost type. Onix is the largest and heaviest unevolved Pokemon. 2 of Ash's Pokemon in the anime have evolved after fighting and defeating Exeggutor. Ash's Charmander evolved to Charmeleon after defeating several Exeggutor with some help from Melvin's firepower. Later on, Ash's Krabby evolved into Kingler after defeating Mandu's Exeggutor in the first round of the Indigo Plateau Conference. Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan are the only Pokemon not previously related through an evolution family to later gain a shared pre-evolution. According to interviews with Ken Sugimori, Rhydon was the first Pokemon ever created. This is supported by some early sketches featuring Rhydon. Even though Goldeen uses Splash in all 4 Super Smash Bros. Games, it has no way of learning the move in any Pokemon game. The Jynx family are the only Pokemon of the Ice Psychic type. Magikarp is the only Pokemon who can be found in every course in Pokemon Snap, excluding Rainbow Cloud, which is a course exclusive to Mew. As of X and Y, Gyarados has been used by 3 Pokemon League champions, Blue, Lance, and Wallace, making it the most popular Pokemon to be used by League champions thus far. Mega Gyarados is the only Dark-type Generation 1 Pokemon. Omastar is the only fossil Pokemon whose extinction has been explained. Its shell was too heavy for it to move, which led to it dying from starvation. Aerodactyl is the only fossil Pokemon who doesn't have an evolution or a pre-evolution, and is the only one with a Mega Evolution. Articuno was the last Generation 1 Pokemon to be introduced in the anime, and is the only one who did not appear in Season 1, if movies are counted. If movies are not counted, then Mew was the last Generation 1 Pokemon to appear in the anime. Finally, Mew was the only one of the first 151 Pokemon to be left out of the original Pokerap. In Pokemon Red and Blue and their remakes, there was a girl in Cerulean City who will command her Slowbro to use Sonic Boom. However, Slowbro is unable to learn Sonic Boom through any legitimate means. The background music in Lavender Town in the Generation 1 games contains high-pitched sounds that are outside their typical adult hearing range, but inside the typical child hearing range. This has inspired all kinds of popular myths and conspiracy theories with the effects of the music. On Route 10, there is a picnicker who wishes there was a pink Pokemon with a floral pattern. This description matches the Generation 5 Pokemon Munna. Route 24 is the only Kanto location where Memo Tiraku can be battled in the Johto games, excluding the event-exclusive battle with Giovanni at the Tojo Falls. Also, Route 24 is the first route in the Pokemon anime to be mentioned by name. Route 25 is one of only 3 numbered routes in the Pokemon world as a dead end, the others being Route 18 in Unova and Route 224 in Sinnoh. In the Generation 1 games, in the Pewter Museum of Science, the plaque accompanying the Space Shuttle model reads Space Shuttle Columbia. However, in the Generation 3 remakes, the plaque simply reads Space Shuttle. This is probably due to the fact that on February 1st, 2003, the real Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated upon re-entry during its 28th mission, killing all 7 crew members. The reference to Space Shuttle Columbia was kept in the Japanese version of the Generation 3 games. The Machop that the player can receive in a trade in the Underground Path in Pokemon Yellow will immediately evolve into a Machamp after the trade is completed, marking the only time when a Pokemon obtained in an in-game trade evolves immediately in an internationally released Pokemon game. On the SSN and the Gen 1 games and their remakes, the player can meet a global police officer on the trail of Team Rocket. Some fans believe that this global police officer is Looker, an international police officer who was introduced in Pokemon Platinum. In Pokemon Yellow, if the player tries to enter the Safari Zone with less than 500 Pokédollars, they can enter the Safari Zone for all of their remaining money, but they get a number of Safari Balls proportional to the amount paid. If they have no money, they can enter for free after multiple attempts to enter, but only receive a single Safari Ball. Despite being a Rock-type expert, none of Brock's Pokemon in the Gen 1 games know any Rock-type moves, they only know Normal-type moves. This was changed in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Misty is the only female Water-type specialist in the Pokemon games. In Pokemon Yellow, Lieutenant Surge's team consists of one Raichu, to mimic the anime. Because of this battle against him is the only battle against any gym leader that consists of only one Pokemon. Erika is the only Kanto gym leader that has the same Japanese and English name. Koga is the first Elite Four member to be introduced in an earlier generation and then attained the title in a later generation, the second being Caitlyn. Janine is the only gym leader who has not appeared in the anime. This is not counting Blue, who is an anime counterpart in the form of Gary. Blaine is the only gym leader to have his gym in 2 different locations. He is also the only gym leader so far whose gym is not in the town or city. Blue is the only character in the Pokemon series who has been a rival, a champion, and a gym leader. Bill is currently the only storage system developer to have appeared in the anime. There were originally plans to include a female player character in the original Pokemon games, but she was cut out for unknown reasons. Originally, players were forced to battle trainers every time they walked past them, regardless if they had defeated them already. Originally, the player was supposed to battle Professor Oak at some point in the game, but this battle was cut out for unknown reasons. There was also an unused trainer class called Chief, but this was also cut out for unknown reasons. There was originally going to be an in-game trade where you would trade a Butterfree for a Beedrill, but it was cut out for unknown reasons. There is some unused data for a plus 750 point score in the Pikachu's Beach minigame. It's impossible to get the score no matter how well you do in the game. And that's all the trivia I have for Generation 1 Pokemon games. Well, thanks for watching, I'm CrazyCrafter42, and I'll see you all next time on Trivia Time. Hey guys, if you liked the video, get a big old thumbs up. And if you want to see some more Pokemon related videos, try clicking on the thumbnails on the screen.